Testing, testing, one, two, three. Hello, everybody. I am Judah Bernard with the Rise Creating Your Voice. I am the wisdom dialoguer and the motivational warrior of the Rise Creating Your Voice. I'm just elated to be here on this Tuesday night. Um, I'm just so happy to be here to give you guys this topic. And the topic is my living in vain? One thing is, I think we don't take the time out to see and evaluate where we are now. And I want to talk about this because basically we're looking at perilous, dangerous times where people become self absorbed in a lot of things. So just want to thank everybody for joining tonight. And also just want to start off just by saying, know who you are. This is going to be a very sensitive topic, knowing that this is Suicide Prevention Month. And I want people to understand that in Suicide Prevention Month, what does that look like? That if you know anybody, um, support them. Support them in what they do, support them in everything that they want to be in life. And one more thing is being able to honor what that is. They also have a text line, it's 988. If you know anybody or anybody that's attempting to commit suicide, please have them to text that number. One thing is we have to understand, is my living in vain? A favorite song of mine that the Clark sisters sing is my living in vain. I think an R&B group sung it too, but I always say, if I can help somebody as I pass along the way, if I can cheer somebody with the word of song, if I can show somebody he is traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world uproar, if I can spread love's message that the master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. We gotta actually look at watch what God does, and then you do it. I want to repeat that. Watch what God does, and then you do it. Like children who learn proper behavior from their parents, mostly what God does is love you. Keep company with Him and learn a life of love. Observe how Christ loved us. His love was not cautious, but it was extravagant. He didn't love in order to get something from us, but to give something of Himself to us. And we need to love just that. If you want to know that message, is in Ephesians 5 1 through the second verse. Um, the other day, I want to tell a story too as well. I found out that a good personal friend of mine passed away. And as I was reading the obituary, they had the eulogy speeches written in there. And it was telling how much she was loved and respected. How she was such a beautiful person and wonderful life she lived. And what a great feeling the family must have felt hearing the words of love as each individual who probably spoke them. They did have a funeral and all that. So only for of her as a loving and kind individual who was always looking out for the welfare of others. A life, a life where self had died as she allowed the love and grace of God to control that she did throughout her life. A song was sung, and all we heard in the past, if I can help someone along the way, then my living shall not be in vain. It is amazing when someone dies, it allows each of us to look back on our own life. As we begin to focus what our self was worth was to others in the time frame God give us to get it right. As I began to meditate once again on the meaning of the words, if I can help someone along the way, then my living shall not be in vain. I keep looking over my own life thinking, when the sunset of my life reaches its peak, what will be said about my life? Will my living be in vain, or will my living not be in vain? My life and the life of my friends who reads or hears and support this podcast, did I actually make a difference in everyone's lives along the way? And will I be a legacy and have a positive and loving impact? I hope everyone will be able to say, I am a better person because we were a part of your life. My friend today, my supporters today, through God's anointing power, focus on the talents and resources God has allowed you to have. Sometimes we don't focus on the talents and resources that God has given us. And ask yourself, how can you benefit those around me? As I die to self daily, like Paul, while allowing Christ to transform more and more of me until he has total control, and my passion becomes to help someone each and every day along the way on this journey to the promised land. My supporters, those who are listening, as we approach the final days of this life's history, there will be a sharp contrast from a child of God and those who follow the forces of evil. For Paul tells us in 2 Timothy 3 1 and 5, the Message Bible paraphrase it this way: don't be naive. There are difficult times ahead. As the end approaches, people are going to be self absorbed, money hungry, self promoting, stuck up, profane, contemptuous of parents, crude, coarse, dog eat dog, unbending, slanderers, impulsively wild, savages, cynical, treacherous, ruthless, bloated windbags, addicted to lust, and allergic to God. They'll make a show of religion, but behind the scenes, there are animals. Stay clear of these people. Stay very clear of these people. But as a child of God in these last days, our testimony comes from John, the 13th chapter, the 34th through the 35th verse, when Christ tells us, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So, one thing I say, my friends and my supporters, if you allow the value of God's love in your life, then your life will become the salt of the earth with a holy and righteous legacy. And the only memory everyone will have of you will be someone who was kind hearted, loving, joyful, compassionate, and humble. So, my friends and supporters today, let everyone rewrite their mission statement to say, I'll give my hand to those who cannot see, the sunshine or the falling rain. I'll sing my song to cheer the weary along, for I may never pass this way again. I'll share my faith with every troubled heart, so I shall not have lived in vain. I'll give my hand, I'll sing my song, I'll share my faith, because I know that the time is now to fulfill each vow, for I may never pass this way again. So today, when you listen to this, at any day you re-listen to this, and until Christ comes, if I can help someone along the way, then my living shall not be in vain. So one thing I want to leave you with is, friends, stay focused, remain faithful, love one another, and endure to the end, and never to forget to study and to pray. Second Timothy tells us to study to show thyself approved. We have to read the Bible. We must continually to read the Bible. This is my plea, my bargain for each and every one of the supporters that we listen and we listen carefully. We listen mindfully. We listen and try to listen to one another so we can be a part of God's great band. As I say, that is so many things that's happening in this world, and some of the things that I called out, what's happening in many lives. So, what we still have to understand that we must understand we need to love. We need to love. We need to love. We need to love. And if you don't know how to love, God is love, and He can show you the way. How you doing, James? How are you?
Doing good. How you doing?
I am great. I am great.
I'm glad to hear that.
Is my living in vain?
Nah, that's what I'm talking about.
So I think the whole premise of this, I did share with you that I lost someone very dear to me that committed suicide.
Right.
And this is one thought that came up as for today's subject was, do people know what that means?
Mm.
And are we really loving people? And this is a daily task,
True
not
that.
just one person. No, just not one person. It's you. If you spread it, That's all that matters. They don't have to give it back. See, we're too busy looking for things in return.
True.
And I want people to understand that that true friend of mine gave love, and you can see it.
Okay.
Um, and you can tell that it was genuine. So I am not at a discourse with her situation.
Uh huh.
I think it was more of a shock to me. So in dealing with it, I'm dedicating this definitely to her because I know that she was a great person.
True.
And I can't say who go to heaven, who go wherever, wherever she may rest. I want her to have peace because she helped out a lot of people,
True.
and her love was available in many, many ways. So, what does that living in vain looks like? And do you have anything to say? I think this topic is so great because so many times we're so vain within ourselves. Are we really living in?
But when you use the word vain, that covers a lot of territory. Plus
Yes.
the fact, when you say vain, it's to the point of, am I just doing things just to be doing them?
Hmm.
And nobody can determine that but yourself.
Yeah.
'Cause nobody know you but you.
Right.
So I'm that's a personal question and a personal, I guess, answer has to be done to that. But then we still got to be true to ourselves.
Yes. I
And
totally agree.
what I put on the text to you, nobody knew what she was going through, and if she didn't communicate it with someone or talk to someone, no one would know.
Hmm.
And that's what we have to really look at, is how we communicate with each other.
Right.
So it's, and we all think that we do a good job, but then do we do a good job?
Right. I totally agree.
So I mean, and that just, and hopefully that would put us in a sense to where we would talk more with each other,
Right.
but still they'll be left with each other. Nobody can make nobody do anything.
Right. And I think just that process, what that looks like, and I know people are so they're different in many ways.
True.
Communication styles and just different things where they're different. And I just want people to understand that no matter what, if love is being shared, or love is being spreaded, um, we wouldn't have all of this. But we already know that the evil days are coming.
True.
But we must continue to spread love. Um, just like I said it on another podcast, especially to who the World Health Organization. We can talk about COVID so much, but did anybody say love when COVID was here with World Health Organization? Can they say it be more lovable to people? Let's make that infectious. It'll stop the spread of COVID. Just kind words.
True. Well, again,
So,
Second Chronicles, 7th chapter and the 14th verse speaks to that. And if my people call by my name would humble themselves, and the word humble come from the word love. I mean, you can't love
hmm
unless you're humble.
hmm
And if you humble yourself and pray and seek my
hmm
face and turn from your wicked ways, so then, see, all those things constitute the fact that you wouldn't be selfish, you wouldn't be self centered, you wouldn't be trying to please yourself, you'd be trying to help others. So all those things talks about all those different things. But we
hmm
still find ourselves sometimes being selfish. We find ourselves sometimes thinking about what I want and not what somebody else wants. I mean, this
right.
a lot of things play into that, but then uh, how do we actually do that?
hmm
So I mean, what I'm saying is there's a lot that's involved that we talk about, but that we don't actually do. Lemonade mix.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's I looking at the learned behavior piece of that, or just being selfish.
uh,
And how do we define selfish? I think sometimes people be so selfish that they are, if they give you something, they're looking for something in return.
true.
Thank you.
Then you're like, is this what the natural tone of things going to be every time I see you?
Uh-huh.
That you're looking for me to give you something,
Right,
and you're looking for that in return.
right.
But I don't think that should be, because I've done so. I think for me, I give. I'm a giver.
Uh-huh.
I'm a giver. So most of the time, I don't look for anything in return, and it's not. I don't like to be boastful about it either.
Uh-huh.
Um, I remember. I don't know if you remember when I did on Mildred's 80th. That's just something that was done, and
Right,
people that knew about it, but when they announced it somewhere else, they was like, "Oh, you did all that?" I was thinking, like, "Well, there's no bother. This is my aunt.
right,
Oh, you should be praised." No, I shouldn't. That's something. That's gifts that God give me. So I didn't see any problem with it.
right,
But it's sort of like people want to put me on this pedestal. I was like, no, that was something that I wanted to do.
right.
And I didn't ask, oh, give me $1 million or $300,000 for that. No, that's not how that works. It's just you just do it.
True,
Not because you do it for genuineness and love, being that I appreciate you.
true.
And I think people don't understand that part either. So yeah,
Well, I mean, again, there's a lot of parts in life which is not written, and you can't write them all.
right,
That we take for granted and don't practice, or we don't have the opportunity to see, or we see it or don't do it. I mean, it's a whole lot of those things there.
hmm
So it's a lot of things that's there that we need to have guidelines by, so we can be in a position to do the godly thing, the righteous
yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
so that's my point.
yeah,
And when you teach those things, everybody don't seem to take them off or want to do them. Everybody got their own. Again, that's why the selfish and self-centered comes in.
right,
Nobody wants to do those things. Everybody want to do what they want to do.
right.
So we have a lot of everybody want to do what they want to do. But that's why commandments and a guideline and things of that nature were put here so we have something to go by.
Yeah. So I think, it's just still where I want people to know that in their walk, how can they continue to be more godly? And what I did, just talking in general today is God is love. And how can we be more like Christ? And
True.
that's for everyone.
Yeah.
And I know, hey, I say it all the time. Everybody ain't gonna make it to heaven. I already know that
Mm.
because people just want to be evil for no reason. But we have to understand what's that reality? Is their lack of knowledge about God, or they just want to do what they want to do? So, like I said, difficult topic because basically it does express suicide in these notes and the things that we're talking about. But
Mhm.
then again, I want to put out there, since it is Suicide Prevention Month, we just want people to know that if you know somebody that's attempting or looking at that method, tell them to text 988. It is very simple. Just text 988. Or if you don't have a phone, go and seek help. Go and seek help where someone can at least lead and guide you to a direction where you can receive that help, and a
True.
professional, mental health professional, so you can be able to, because I want to see a decrease in
Mhm.
suicide rates. Um, Being that if no one knows that actually the white male has the highest rate, and I want to put that out there, the white male has the highest rate in suicide. Um, and most of the time we don't talk about that. We don't talk about it, and it's not talked about in a lot of societies too as well. But white men have the highest rate in suicide. So um,
And what is the cause? I mean,
it's so many causes. um, just so many causes.
like
On
they put out about AIDS and um, alcoholism,
Mhm.
all those things, but they talk about causes, but then nobody really talks about the cause for suicide.
Right.
Do we know? Or do we have some idea?
Yeah. Look, I'm about. I like to pull stuff up, and I'm actually reading from "Men in Suicide: Why White Men Most at Risk." And this is written by Neil Watkins, who is a licensed professional counselor in the NCC.
Hmm.
Chances are you've been touched by suicide in some way, which is no surprise. The statistics are alarming. It's the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S., with 1.38 million suicide attempts a year.
Wow.
According to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, perhaps most unsettling is that 90% of those who die by suicide had a diagnosable mental health condition at the time of their death.
Okay.
There are some stark disparities in both gender and race when it comes to suicide. Men die by suicide 3.6 times more often than women. And the suicide rate is more than twice as high among whites compared to African Americans or Asians and Pacific Islanders. The result, white men account for nearly 70% of suicide deaths. Many men still buy into the stigma that they should be strong enough to handle things on their own. And
Mm-hmm.
research shows that they do delay seeking health care, ignore symptoms of illness, and hold back information when they do finally see a doctor. This can be especially true when it comes to mental health conditions, which tend to be underdetected in men. Depression is the most common condition associated with suicide. But when conditions like depression, anxiety, and substance problems go undiagnosed or untreated, the risk for suicide increases. Just 1 in 4 men who report daily feelings of depression or anxiety have spoken to a mental health professional. Stressful life events like divorce, financial crisis, or loss can also play a big role as environmental risk factors for suicide. The area of the country you live in can affect your risk for suicide too. Research shows that people who live in rural areas are more likely to die from suicide for multiple reasons, including more access to firearms and less access to mental health resources. Most people who take their own lives do show at least one warning signs. These can include talk. If a person talks about killing themselves, feeling hopeless, have no reason to live, being a burden to others, feeling trapped, having unbearable pain. Behavior: increased use of alcohol or drugs, looking for a way to end their lives, like searching online, withdrawing from activities, isolating from family and friends, sleeping too much or too little, visiting or calling people to say goodbye. Aggression. Mood: sudden changes in mood, depressed or saddened. While not all these things necessarily mean that you or your loved one is suicidal, you should still take them seriously. Most often, when suicide is discussed, it's the news that a person took his or her own life. But what we don't hear about is how many people were able to talk to someone, were directed to get help, did get care, and did go on to take care of their life. While such interventions may ultimately involve the work of mental health professionals, they often begin with family and friends. If your loved one is considering suicide, starting an honest conversation about it can be the first step toward getting them help and saving a life. Those resources for individuals and families is called the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255 for free confidential support 24/7. Or you can text talk to 71741 to talk with a trained counselor from the crisis text line for free 24/7. And also call 911 for emergencies, but they do have a text out too at 988. So this is coming from Baton Rouge General. So
Hmm.
this is a script that I just read, and written by Neil Watkins, who is a licensed professional counselor.
I noticed in that way you said if they talk with someone
Hmm.
and and I hear about that it must be a mental problem. You said your friend was a doctor, right?
Yes,
So
and they did disclose she did have depression and anxiety.
really,
Yeah.
mm.
So
So
this is a very huh?
depression is part of mental a mental problem.
Yes.
Okay,
It's in a DSM TR now. Yeah,
wow.
DSM 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, TR. Yeah,
Okay,
depression, anxiety. It's a lot of things that's in the diagnosis statistic manual, which is DSM 4 that psychologists, therapists, and a lot of other people use. Yeah,
wow. Hmm.
because it plays with your mental. It's your mind.
True.
One thing is, well, it's a lot of things that's out there, but I think one thing that we know that we have is trying to be ourselves. And one thing that I told people is sometimes it's okay not to be okay,
True.
and understand what that means. And some people have more issues with trying to smile than crying, and it's sort of like they got a whole mask on.
Hmm.
So I think people really need to understand what that looks like. And are they going to be masking all along?
True.
It comes down to really knowing who you are and being who you are genuinely.
True.
And what does that mean?
I
Um,
guess that's part of your community makeup as well,
yeah,
and home training.
yeah. And I think the situation that has me the most at awe was We don't know.
True.
I think it's the unknown about somebody who could be so adventurous and have so much trips under their belt and seem like you were enjoying life. But then again, that's why I have to go to social media now. And those who are crying one day, but the next day, um, you're going through a lot of moods on different social medias, and that's concerning for me. So, are you happy, or is that just for show and tell?
True.
Um, what, I can't remember. Someone else on social media had committed suicide. It's a lot of people that committed suicide,
This is
and
the
you
people
just
on
don't
social
know.
media. These are
Huh?
people on social media that are saying something about your friend or just saying period.
No, I'm just saying people in general, and
Okay.
I'm just doing a very generalized thing. Um, I did have another friend that committed suicide. I think it was in 2000. I want to say 2019. And then other people have committed suicide, and I won't call that name out either. But it's a lot of people that have committed suicide, and I think it's more of the shocking thing for me. And that friend um, that committed suicide was actually in Jayana's wedding.
Really?
Yeah, the guy that was the singer.
Mm-hmm.
We went to his funeral in 2019.
Wow.
Um, that I think that shocked me because he was actually staying in the same hotel room with me, and that next following year, because we all supposed to be going on that vacation together to celebrate her first year anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
and he had killed himself.
Mm.
Um, so to have not known that how much he was bearing, um, is the sad part because some people can appear to be so happy for that moment.
Well, that's the idea. You don't know real and
Yeah,
unreal.
yeah, you're right. So there ain't much you can do, and I think, like you said, if sometimes they don't communicate it, how would you know?
Right. You won't know.
So yeah. Um, so like I tell people, just talk, and if it's not talking, hey, you have to say something because it's important that we look at these things and be evaluative of actually what's going on.
Right.
Um, um, and like I said, always support. We never know. We really never know.
No, you don't.
So is my living in vain?
Mm.
Gerald, you have anything you want to say? Or you driving?
No, I don't.
Okay. So it's just we really, 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 really need to be very evaluative of this sensitive subject, um, and stop making it such a taboo.
Well, I mean, we can make anything a taboo, but then when you come to a realization or a truth train
Hmm.
and face it, that's when it comes to be because sex used to be a taboo. Talking about mental illness,
Hmm.
talking about having a psychiatrist, even going to the doctor having a medical disease.
Hmm.
So, used to be if it's happening in the family, you keep it in the family.
Right.
But things happen. When they happen, we need to not expose it, but talk about it to the point to where you don't never know who it might help.
Right. And that's the whole thing is we never know. And I think what the family has shared that they want to be so um, open with it so it can assist someone because we don't know what other doctors out there
True.
that is feeling that type of way. And although you may be assertive to your patients, how assertive are you to your own mental health? So
And we
as
think
we leave.
doctors don't have problems, but everybody have problems.
Yeah. I was putting out doctor because basically that she was a doctor.
Mhm.
And I just want to say, for those that are out there that's listening, we
Was she
it's not a certain profession.
was she
But
married?
yes, she was. Yes,
They had children?
she didn't, but she did have stepdaughters.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just don't know.
True that.
But then the important part is a great advocate has lost um,
True.
um, wherever. But this is a situation where I want to advocate for suicide prevention. And it was so wild that when I got that message, that I had already had an episode post for suicide prevention
Hmm.
because it's very prevalent out here. And I was thinking about the other past suicide people too as well, and those who have told me they attempted, and I've been in a hospital with someone who attempted suicide too as well. So
Really?
yeah,
Mm.
um, where they had to put that some black or whatever they call it down their mouth to make them throw all up and stuff. It's just it's too much for me. um, but you just don't know. And had I not been there with that person, you know,
Mm.
what, what, and I actually just had moved to North Carolina that day and
Mm.
had rushed him to the hospital.
Mm.
Yeah. So what if I was just an hour, 2 hours later?
Right.
So you never know.
No, you don't
Um,
never know.
Love loss, financial problems. It's so many things that can bother you in your mind. Um, we just want to be grateful for today. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but those who can't be grateful and those who are dealing with whatever, if you can't solve it or if you can't manage it, please go and see someone and make it a mental health profession. You can do a coach, whatever it is. Be able to have that conversation so you can get it out or somewhat have some explanation out of your head. And sometimes we don't want to do that because oh, well, they don't think this way. What your friends gonna say? It's all that. But it's applicable to at least talk to someone.
Right.
Do a consultation because you don't know.
True that.
We do, we have plenty of resources, but and that's the one thing is, they mentioned in that article was a lot of rural people don't have access to mental health services,
Mm.
and that could be the very main reason in different areas that they just, like you mentioned earlier, James, that people just go through the motions and say, hey, it's taboo to if I got a mental health disease, don't nobody need to tell you nothing, anything like that, or just taboo about a lot of stuff. Being that you look at rural areas, that's what it was. What goes on in this house and stays in the house, and you better not tell nobody else. So we must understand, whatever it is, seek medical attention,
Right.
and I can't say that often enough. I'm one of advocates of if I cough wrong, let me go to the hospital. I'm gonna end up just keep coughing. I ain't gonna be coughing. Give me 3 days. If I'm coughing for 3 days, I'm going somewhere to get some attention. If that first hack is a hack out of this world, I know I'm going to get some attention. But I think what we have to understand is we got to be mindful of our bodies and our health.
That's true.
Be very aware of life. And when you feel yourself, and if you're feeling bad or down or hurt or something like that, um, do what you need to do and seek help. Any questions before we leave today? Like I said, this is a sensitive topic, and I want people to know that from the start. And if it triggers you, definitely go and see a mental health professional or someone that can help you through this process But our job is to get it out on the air where we can decrease the symptoms, decrease um, and help you with managing it through having a mental health professional and having you talk to someone about what's going on. Because some people don't deal with those problems; they just let them fester up, and then it turns into a larger problem.
True. If you don't deal with a problem, you'll have a problem, a bigger problem later.
Yeah. So, and I think what we still have to understand, what does that look like for you?
True
What
that.
does that look like for you? And it's only you. And you can't blame it on your cousin, sister, brother, cousin, uncle, daddy, mother-in-law, whatever. You got to blame it on you because you allowed it to fester.
True that.
So, without further ado, any Tuesday jewels you want to drop, James, before we leave today?
Wow. Well, just learn to communicate, learn to surrender, learn to open up to where if there's a need for help, someone would notice it.
Hmm. And that's the
And
thing. Go ahead.
if you do have hotlines or call your minister or call someone and say, I need help, I got a problem. I don't know what to do. Just say something where you can be helped.
Yeah. And the one thing is, and if they can't help you, I'm sure they can refer you to someone. But
Right.
I know, like me, I don't like a lot of referrals. I
Well,
don't like
no,
telling people, huh?
but no, referrals are good, especially it still detains you from doing what you would have done.
Hmm.
So you still giving yourself time. So accept the referrals until you can get further along. I don't know. I mean, there's no real answer other
Yeah,
than
no.
God. That's the real
Right.
answer. But then everybody don't accept that. Everybody don't surrender. Everybody don't believe.
Hmm.
So that's the only real answer.
And one last thing is just be human and kind. Be human kind
True
and
that.
be both. Be human and be kind. So many times we are not kind,
True that.
and kind can go a long way
True that.
versus being assertive. Be kind. Be kind. And that's one thing that I'm learning is kindness. It softens things, softens a lot of things. We just got to be mindful of that every day,
Every
every
day.
day, every day, and no matter what, be kind.
Be kind.
Um, we have definitely have Sunday Jewels on the Rise on this Sunday. Like I said, I will be taking the whole month of November off. Hallelujah! Thank you, Jesus. Yes, 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 yes,
Why you be
yes.
taking it off?
Because I will be getting married.
Really?
Yes, I need a whole month off to
Wow.
plan, prepare, and then we have a spiritual high after that.
Exactly.
So I'm excited about it, and I don't like the word excited. I'm happy about it. Let's say that because I haven't gotten excited yet. I think my excitement, if anybody knows me, my excitement, you'll see me probably jumping and doing different things. So if you don't know me, you'll see my excitement probably later because I'm happy. So I'm trying to not maintain the excitement, but I know once everything goes through well, that the excitement will probably come on hours later. So I know we want to know just from you guys, what do you think um, about the topic and also further topics to come because we want a fresh new start in 2023. You can definitely email us at thetrjudah at outlook.com, or you can go to the website at www.therise.live and actually go to the contact us page and you have us contacted. I want to thank to all my supporters, and I don't know who you are. I see people in Germany, I see people in Spain, I see people everywhere that's listening. Over the past couple of days, I have hit some all highs of almost 200 downloads in one day, in several days, let's say that. Not well, 200 each day. So I don't know what's going on. It's sort of like that variable, the algorithms or whatever. But Apple Podcasts, thank you. I don't know whether I'm number one or whatever just yet, but I'm thankful for the downloads and the support that you give, and that it's a lot of listening to some of the old ones. So it appears that people are liking the show, and we like to continue this as long as we live and as long as we have breath that we can do this show. We're doing God's will and God's ministry too as well. Being that we putting this information out, difficult conversations, and I don't want to call them difficult conversations because sometimes these are conversations we should be having.
True that.
So I don't want to call it difficult. I guess I can call it hard to hear conversations. No one want to hear about this, but it's hard to talk about it sometimes too when you don't have the what's the word? Not the strength, but
The
the
understanding.
disconnect, huh?
The understanding.
Understanding, the disconnect, more knowledge, more information. I'm always telling people, Google, just Google it. You can find out so much. I bet you if you want to Google how you get your nails done, you'd Google it. You want to find a new barber, you can Google it. You can Google anything you want, but when it comes to stuff like this, people don't Google.
True.
They don't Google this. You can find out what's the hottest thing in Google and all this stuff. And it ain't about suicide. So I want us to be very conscious and mindful and having these deep, dark conversations, and not say dark, but deep conversations. One other thing I want to share that at the end of this month, we will be dropping my book. Our first book is The Pressures of My Skin. It's it's amazing. I already did the cover to the book and everything, and it's awesome and amazing. So we're in editing processes and things like that. So hopefully to be out the end of this month before we close out Suicide Prevention Month, because it is those difficult conversations. It's the pressures of my skin, sin, difficult conversations, being that we're bringing diversity our way across the board and understanding that we all go through pressures. We all go through them.
True
I don't
that.
care. I don't care what color, what race, what
That's it.
creed, what origin. We all go through pressures.
True.
I don't care how much money you got. You still go through pressures.
Please, you go through it.
Yeah. So as long as you live, you're going to go through them. But we're
Mhm.
trying to make sure that people understand that we're all the same.
That's it.
We're all the same. We are one in Christ, and that we want to help decrease those pressures and do some things that you can connect with some of the stories in there to make sure that you have a plan for you when those pressures do come. Before we leave here, we want to thank you once again for our supporters. We want to definitely let you know Sunday School, Gun Jewels on the Rise is every Sunday from at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We want to be thankful to everybody who's supporting. We're
That's
all
it.
in the seven continents. We're international. Be looking out for the Heal Tour and the fall. I guess the fall winter of 2023. And also be looking out that hopefully February 2023 we'll be doing a stage play in Mississippi. So we have a lot going on. But we're thankful too as well for God's word and God's creations and just things
Yeah.
that's to come. And don't forget to have that number there. And don't forget that
What
every Sunday, Greater Tabernacle Ministries have Sunday school. Sunday school is at
is
9:45 Eastern Standard Time, 8:45 Central Standard Time. And Sunday school, and immediately after that is church. So definitely, if you want to join at the Start Meeting app, what's that number, Dad? Again,
774
774
258
258
6705.
6705. Look,
Got it in,
we're gonna write that down in our notes.
got it in the text.
Man, 867.
And we do have Wednesday Bible class. It's at 6:45 Central, 7:45 Eastern, and every second Thursday
Tuesday. Tuesday.
we do have the spiritual relations of the healing, I should say. That's at 6:45 p.m. Central, 7:45 Eastern.
Got it. Oh, got it. Oh, it's in there.
Right.
Oh, okay. So, in other words, we got a lot for you to come to. So, and we want you at everything, just to get some motivation, get to be spiritually healed, and get to know Christ
That's
for
it.
yourself. I think that's the number one goal is having a spiritual relationship with God. And what does that mean to you? And that's all. That's all it is. And with some genuine folk. Did we mention everything? Oh, don't forget the revival
Yes.
and prayer meeting.
True that. That's October 4th through the 10th, I think. That's October 4th, no,
Third,
October 3rd through the 7th,
seventh,
and
and the
the
10th through
revival
the
is
14th.
10th through the 14th.
Yes, and it's still that same start meeting out, but we have some singing, some prayer, some praise and worship, and the word of God just being said. Um,
And we go
so
the
we
old fashioned way. We just sing and pray the first week. Really saturate ourselves for the revival for the second week.
yes,
Really, it's a genuine setting to allow
yes,
yourself spiritually motivated and spiritually open to receive the revival that comes after that.
amen, amen, and we're looking so forward to you coming. You guys have the app. You guys have the number. So make sure you use it. That's 774-258-6705.
Amen.
As we leave here, we want to say thank you. Thank you to our supporters. And I don't like to look at statistics a lot. And like I tell everybody, I'm such an humble person. And people, oh, you got a podcast, you're doing so great. Like it's it's a normalcy for me because it's me doing God's will. So it's a routine of praising God. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. So I'm like, we ought to do it anyway. So this is not for any monetary value or anything like that, but it's to get the word of God out and making sure that we have these conversations um, as he sees fit. Um, so without anything else being said, I'm sorry we didn't do a meditation tonight, but I knew that meditation probably would gone left for me. But I'm still in my stages right now of
Mm.
grief, um, and I don't know when I'll be out, but I'm maintaining, and I'm able to say that because basically sometimes people are not able to say that I need to grieve.
True that, but also in your grief, be able to talk or be able to
Oh
open up.
yes,
You feel anything different, you need to be able to acknowledge that to where you can
yes,
really let it out. And that's what really Satan works on when you hold it within yourself.
oh no,
That's a playground for him to work.
I got a whole appointment on the 20th. Come on now. I ain't playing with these folks. I think for me is I know I've grown and matured when I'm able to discuss it and able
Mm.
to set appointments and I'm able to actually set those boundaries where I know I need this is what I need. It
Right.
has nothing to do with anybody else.
True that.
And if you can't accept what I need, then why are you with me? It's a part of life. It's a part of life.
True that.
Because basically we all grieve differently.
True.
And then somebody can say something selfish where I wonder if do. Look, it ain't no wonder anything. This is about me, and that's where I was. Is it really hit me, and I've grieved the other ones, but the other suicides were different for me too as well, and I grieved for quite some time
Wow.
because I don't know how to feel when someone commits suicide.
Right. I don't know but one person that I know
Right,
personally. But,
right,
but that was Willie James, was it Robert Tucker's son, Robert Tucker Jr. He
hmm
committed suicide. I wasn't there, but I heard of and I knew him personally.
right,
And I don't know if what he was going through with.
right. So I think it's just the shock of it for me,
Right.
but I think more so of the three people that I know of that did commit suicide. I had personal relationships with them,
Right.
um, and I don't. I think for me is I know how good of a person that they appear to be, and I have to say that.
Right.
But I think it's the thing is me being an ex mental health therapist, me being a life coach, executive coach, health coach, all that and stuff is what could I have done for them, and that was my main goal of social work too, as well. That how sometimes that I was not able to assist them, but then again, I have to let that go.
Through that.
And that's a process for me, and that's one reason why I got out of that field because basically I was holding on to a lot of people's stuff,
Mm.
and I didn't know what to do with it. But you can guess what? Greater things happen. So I'm grateful for that because I was holding on to a lot of stuff. Um, but other than that, we want you guys to tell a friend, tell a phone, and that's my truth. I'm okay with telling the truth. That's my truth. And I wish a lot of people just tell their truth. Just say you don't like me. I'd rather say you don't like me than saying sitting there lying in my face.
True that.
Hey, so I applaud some of the efforts of other people when they say, "Look, I don't like it." I'm like, you know what? We don't need to like each other. We just need to do this together. If we can do this together, we've accomplished something.
True that.
You ain't got to fake with me. So as we leave here, tell a friend, tell a foe, tell your spouse, and tell everyone. We'll see you on Sunday on Instagram Live. That's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can go to the Rise Creative Voice on Instagram or also at Jules Mentoring LLC. If you definitely want to go and see Love is LaRonda, go to her YouTube channel as well. Currently, we are on Apple Podcasts, The Rise Creative Voice, Julie Bernard, YouTube. You can Google The Rise Creative Voice and you'll see us pop up. You can Google Julie Bernard, you'll see us pop up. You'll see the picture and everything. We're on Amazon Music. We're on a lot of channels. We just want you guys to receive it. Deezer, Cast, Podchaser, you name it, we're there. iHeartRadio. Just look. The Rise Creative Voice, okay? And we would love to see you again, all right? And God watch between you and me when we're absent one from another. Okay? Have a good night.